Hello everybody, so today we're talking about PCOS and acne. Acne is such a major symptom that a lot of women with PCOS struggle with. It's one of the most, I would say, hardest symptoms to deal with because, oftentimes it can really affect our self-esteem and our confidence. I know for myself, that was the very beginning of my PCOS journey. To figure out that I had PCOS was that I had really bad acne. It was deep, it was cystic, it was like really in my face, hard to manage, and I tried a lot of different types of things to manage it, but it was extremely hard. And it was really until I figured out what the true cause of acne is, that my skin started to actually heal and get better. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the causes of acne, talk about hormonal issues that we see. We're going to go into some treatment or like dietary and lifestyle options as well. And then what we're going to talk about too is kind of like the pattern of acne, like where we actually see it too. All right, so let's get started. So the first thing is causes of acne. So one of the biggest things, especially in PCOS, is insulin resistance. So there's another video that I have about insulin resistance, so go and look at that video. But basically, when we have high levels of insulin in our bloodstream that is caused by insulin resistance, it's going to increase testosterone. And testosterone is really the culprit as to why we see a lot of acne, because testosterone increases sebum production. So it can actually go into the skin, cause that oil production, and acne can be the result of it. So it's really important to figure out A, do you have insulin resistance? B, is your testosterone levels high? And it could be like levels in your bloodstream, but it can also be signs and symptoms that you have high testosterone. So for example, you have acne, you have hair loss, you have hair growth. These are all signs of high testosterone. The location is also important too. So if you're seeing acne like in this jawline area, this is very much related to testosterone and a hormonal imbalance. So if that's the case, really figuring out and looking at your testosterone levels is important. And then the third thing I really want to talk about is estrogen and progesterone. So our skin loves estrogen. So especially like if you think about it, when we're pregnant, we're building a lot of estrogen and a lot of progesterone. That's why our skin is like so nice and it's like all glowing. And when we have this high level of testosterone that's kind of blocking this estrogen production, then we can see acne as well. So, for example, when we talk about your cycle and see, sometimes women say, like, my acne just gets worse just before my period or the 2 weeks leading up to my period. And that's really because of the levels of estrogen. And so, around ovulation, that's when estrogen starts to really get to its peak, its highest level. So, that's where acne can look actually better. But when you find like this drop in estrogen and progesterone, like right before your period starts, then that is kind of why you're getting the symptoms of acne and why it's getting worse. So that's also something you should consider. But really, balancing estrogen and progesterone can actually be a treatment option, but really even figuring out if it's coming from insulin and testosterone is definitely important. All right, so let's talk about treatment options or just dietary and lifestyle things. So, first things first, it's always about diet. It's always really going to be about diet because everything we put into our digestive system is a direct reflection of what happens in our skin. And so, it's really important to fuel your body with the right foods. The two biggest foods that can really impact acne and make things worse is dairy and sugar. So sugar, we know it's inflammatory. It can cause inflammation, especially in the skin. And so it's very, very important. Oh, and it can also cause insulin resistance, right? It can aggravate insulin resistance. So it's definitely important to minimize your exposure to sugar. Even sometimes minimizing sugar that sounds healthy, like honey, agave, maple syrup, coconut sugar, like all of these types of like healthy sugars or sugar sweeteners or alternatives to sugar can also impact the level of glucose in the bloodstream, because it ends up turning into glucose. And so it's actually really important to consider that as well. Okay, so remove sugar, that's the biggest thing. So dairy actually can impact insulin levels. It can make the pancreas increase lots of insulin production. So it's really important to actually reduce the amount of insulin or dairy that you're eating, because it can also have something called insulin-like growth factor, and that will stimulate the production of insulin. So it's really important to minimize your exposure to dairy as much as possible. Some people also say, like, what if I just have like a tablespoon in my coffee? Well, everybody is different in terms of their exposure, but definitely milk and yogurt products can be really impactful to the acne, and so it's really important to remove everything and just see if it works. All right, botanicals. There are certain botanicals that we can use to help reduce testosterone. One of the biggest ones that we know of is called saw palmetto. It has a lot of research behind it in terms of reducing the amount of testosterone that we make. It actually converts testosterone to a more potent type of testosterone called DHT. So it's actually pretty good at reducing testosterone levels. So that's a botanical to look at as well. And then I would say one of the biggest things is to consider in terms of supplementation is antioxidants. So our vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin E plus selenium and zinc, like those are really important antioxidants. And oftentimes when we look and think of acne, there's all this like debris and inflammation in our skin, and so we really want to try to reduce all of that inflammation down and heal the skin up. And so using antioxidants can be really important. One of the other most important antioxidants is called N-acetylcysteine. So this is a really important precursor to our most important antioxidants, or I would say one of the most important antioxidants in our body, called glutathione. And glutathione can be really supportive to the body in terms of its antioxidant properties. And so N-acetylcysteine is also heavily researched, or really moderately researched in our research in terms of PCOS, and it can actually help reduce testosterone as well. So N-acetylcysteine, and then the other ones I would consider as like a fish oil, vitamin D, probiotic. All of those are really, really supportive to our skin. So yeah, so those are some of the strategies around treating acne. And then, the other thing is just the location. I just want to go back to the location of acne. And so if it's around that jawline area right here, even in this kind of area, then definitely consider it could be a hormonal imbalance and getting your hormones checked. Sometimes even in the forehead, it can be more related to digestion, but really overall, like if it's in that jawline area, it could be definitely related to hormones. Hope that was helpful. Thanks for listening. See you soon.